This is the Estacada Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. Roll call will be starting now at 5:01 p.m. Commissioner Lanchitsky,
Here,
Commissioner
virtually.
Tesla is absent. Commissioner Shebrel,
Present.
Commissioner Huff,
Here.
and Commissioner Brandt is absent. Great. We have Beverly, who will be speaking about the Founders Day event.
Melanie, did you get an updated?
I don't know if I got it. That's okay though.
That's okay.
You have extras? Okay. Thank you.
You see the budget was slashed.
Okay.
My name is Beverly Nordstrom, Bev Nordstrom, and I'm relatively new to the Estacada area. I've lived in Oregon City for a long time. We chose to move out here because we love it. And I'm here to discuss a proposed Estacada Founders Day acknowledgement or event. So we are at the 120-year mark from our founding in 1905. It was discussed in 1904 and proposed before the state, Oregon State. And they did have a birthday acknowledgement in 1955, so the 50-year mark birthday. They haven't had anything since that I can tell. So this is a start. It's a minimal request as a proposition that we get started with community involvement and hopefully commissions to get behind it in some shape and form. And I think we're looking at hopefully in 2030 to have a larger celebration, but I just have in my heart that it's important to get started to bring the community together. We've had a lot of challenges, kind of a fracturing from different reasons, but this is something we can all get on board with in a minimal way. So you all online, you should have received a packet that looks like, where's the camera? This looks like this. And I'll just go over it briefly. Let me tell you up front that my purpose today is to get a consensus, a recommendation for a letter that yes, you'd like to see this happen. Yes, you'd like to help out in whatever way that is appropriate based on what's on your plate. And this letter needs to be fairly soon because there is a grant application from Clackamas County that's due April 17th. And so to have a participation, a thumbs up that yes, we'd like to see this happen would really mean a lot. So let me just give you some ideas. So let's go to page 2, the goals and objectives. We pretty well have discussed. I think in our discussion of the Founders Day, rather than having a separate event to get started, we're thinking about having it wrap around an existing event like the 4th of July parade, and then growing it from there. And involvement from the commissions could be nothing, or it could be something in a big way, and everything in between. As the parade, getting down to the bottom of page 2, as a parade, we would have a float celebrating our 120-year birthday and engagement with the community, with games, a living history. This would be minimal expense, and it would be different adults, assuming a character that's represented in the 1905 timeframe, from mayor to the school teacher, everything in between. And they would be given a short paragraph script where they would introduce themselves to the attendees of the parade and just talk about what Estacada was like in 1905 and some of our challenges. And one of their big challenges is they needed a new school. They had 40 students in one room, and they expected, because of the unprecedented growth, just like we're having now, that that student body would double shortly from 40 to 80 students, and their solution was to recommend a 4-room schoolhouse, which is really big for them at that time. There are some other things I listed A through O of different events that could happen. Letter N would be a time capsule of what students or people think Estacada will look like 50 years from now. And, or at the, anyway, Art Smith said they would like to be a part of that and help promote it and collect that. And if there's another commission that would like to be a part of that, that's great. I've met with Philip Foster Farm. They have all sorts of ideas and would love to participate, including a fashion show. We talked about the time capsule would probably be here on site around City Hall. And then I just gave some possible ideas. For example, the Arts Commission already has a art show with a focus to the 120-year Founders Day. And I'm going to be putting together a collage there for the stories and what's Estacada challenged with back then. And then I just have some ideas. You don't have to do any of them. One for Parks and Rec. I don't even know if this would be possible, but here's my heart's desire. It was a really big part of Estacada's history to have it's called a rags and hard time dance. So rather than dressing up in fineries like in silks and everything, they dressed up in their everyday calico clothes. And they gave an award out for the most raggedy costume or what they would wear every day. And they would get together as a community and dance. The dances there involved the waltz, the two-step, and something called the turkey trot. I choreographed the Music Man musical. And so I'm very familiar with the turkey trot, and it's very vigorous. And at 73 years old, I'm not going to be doing the turkey trot, but it's a lot of fun. If you want to see what it looks like, just go to the Music Man, the movie musical. They're doing the turkey trot there. But there's a lot of fun things we can do there. I did include some articles from 1905. And it talks about Estacada's birthday party. Now, they had the first birthday party in 1905 because they considered the birth of Estacada at that time when they planned it, and in 1904. And that wasn't approved by the state until 1905. But it talks about their birthday. It talks about with the school, just like we're dealing with now, needing improvements. It's really similar to what we're doing now. And then I have the estimated budget. Again, a lot of this we can do on a shoestring because it's mostly just community effort. The time capsule with supplies at 120. Some awards and recognition for community involvement, leaders, participation. What they did in 1905 is they awarded different community leaders with an apple basket. That not a big trophy, but a basket of apples. And then I just guessed at what the grant would be and perhaps some community gifts. So right now I have an exposure of $370 if you subtract the two. But again, this is all conjecture on my part, doing the best I can to kind of get a grasp on it. So I am asking people to join in an ad hoc community committee to give ideas and participation. And I'm looking for people who are not only qualified, but those who aren't qualified, just to bring a fresh perspective. And so that's happening. And we're looking for people to, especially Parks and Recs, to say, yes, we will come alongside and help where we can. And if you and write that letter as soon as possible. If you'd want to take one of your music in the park times, we could either have all of it or part of it being even just recorded music to do a rags and hard time dance if you want. If you don't want, that's okay. That could be 5 years from now. So there, that's a lot. I try to do it fast. I know I'm only supposed to have 3 minutes, but I'm the only one here. So, any questions?
So for clarification on the letter, you're just needing a letter saying we support this. Is this specifically about getting the grant?
It's for the grant, yes.
Okay, so this is us saying, hey, we're in support of this event. Like,
Yes, and we want to partner.
okay,
We see it as a venue to bring the community together.
Okay.
To celebrate our past. And I love that our past is not all win-win, but it's a chronicle of struggles of where the community had to come together because they saw forced growth coming upon them and they forged a way forward. It wasn't everyone won a little bit and also you lost a little bit, but you moved forward. You had a plan to move forward. So there you have it. So a letter as soon as possible would be amazing.
okay.
Anything from you two?
Yes, no?
Okay.
Are we considered YouTube?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I think that, whatever that may look like, I feel like we could support you in some way. I think it's important to celebrate, and I think that if we can collaborate and find a, easier or easy-ish way to contribute at this point, since it is coming up, I think that's very doable.
Excellent. I will be reaching out to someone from the Old Time Fiddlers. We have a contact there. But there's also a lot of pre-recorded music of that time, created at that time. Of course, it's right on the edge of the 1920s. So it's a lot of big band music. And so we'll see.
Is Stephen gonna say something?
I do want to say I love the idea of doing a float. I think that would be something super easy to throw together that a lot of committees could, participate in or help with. Even if it was just a float, like with a banner and some decorations or some pictures of what that looked like and playing the music from that time period, I think would be fun and easy to put together since July is going to be here before we know it.
Yes. Good. I'm also on the hunt for, we used to have a museum. I don't know when that closed. Does anyone know here?
I think it was around 2008 or 9 when it
Okay.
closed, yeah.
So I contacted, I was told that everything from the museum went to the Oregon Museum in Oregon City.
Mm.
So I called them and they said they were notified of it arriving, but it never arrived. So I spoke with someone from Philip Foster Farm and they said they showed up one day to open it up and there were 2 boxes of things waiting outside their facility out in the open. So they've been holding that. They don't think that is everything from the museum. But it does have some artifacts in it and they've welcomed me to go through it. They do not want it. They don't want to keep it because Philip Foster Farm is everything up to 2000 or 1905. What they have is everything about Estacada. So I will go there and take a look at it. They think, or the person I spoke with thinks that it still could be in someone's barn or home. So if there'd be a wonderful way online to just put a call out saying we are looking at beginning our Founder's Day, but our 120th birthday. And if you have anything you'd like to contribute, artifacts, oral history, stories, please contact, and it can be me, I don't care. But somehow, if someone would like to volunteer to give that information, I just don't want to see it kept in someone's barn. So if any of you have a hearsay, and no guilt intended, I just think it would be good to get our hands on our history.
I think Stephen was going to say something. Were you?
There we go. Yeah, thanks for putting all this together. This is like the most cohesive, coherent collection of ideas and history that we've come across yet. Everything's been so nebulous and ambiguous when it comes to like what do we want to do for the anniversary, and I think this really is going to help crystallize
some accepting. I think this year, I mean, it does make it tough just because it's short notice, but 125 is a big one. I think whatever we can do this year, we should, but 125 is obviously all the quarter centuries are a big deal, and it's good to get a leg up and have things a little more dialed so that we can actually like think about putting something real together for the big one.
Yes. And speaking with my contact at Philip Foster Farm, one thing we did repeatedly for Estacada, we were known for our annual melodramas. And there are a number of melodramas written in the 1905s. There's some things we can do that would be community-based that could grow from now until the 125-year celebration. So I think the big thing is to get a start. So
So is there
That's all.
consensus to write a letter, or is it, Ryan, are you leading
Yeah.
the meeting?
I'm on board with it. It might be easiest for me to draft something up. I don't know if we need to get everybody's name on it or just the Parks Commission as a whole and then a letterhead or something like that, but that'll be easy enough for me to put together and refine what she's needing across the living room.
If you also need any help, we
Yeah.
can make a draft as well.
Yeah,
That
I can
helps.
send you a draft or whatever. And
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And if you know of anyone who'd like to be part of a committee, we're just having coffee and brainstorming, love to. You've got my name and email. I've put it out there for everyone. So, all right. Thank you so much.
For the record, this is my mother-in-law, so
I am.
we've been talking about this for a while. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Thanks, Bev, for coming.
Welcome.
And
Thank you.
let's coordinate too a little bit after shortly. Because I'd like to talk some more about it, so.
Okay. I need to go home and feed 8 grandkids. So,
Oh,
but
yes,
maybe,
but not right now, but like later in the week or something.
But that's
whenever.
great, yeah.
Let's talk.
yeah, I'm free.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melanie, did you want to do your wayfinding presentation?
Sure, I can do that. Is that in the packet where everybody can see that?
Um,
I don't remember seeing it, but I might have missed it.
Oh, maybe I'm too soon to talk about it then, because I would kind of like them to see the plan, and I think,
Yeah, I don't see it in there.
okay, let me give you a heads up. And then maybe I can come back and talk at your next meeting, in April, yeah. So we've been working on a wayfinding signage, and I think, Stephen, you had, helped out with this previously, like looking at potential, places that we could put signage that if you've seen, maybe in Oregon City, they have little signs that has a little person walking, has a little bicycler, says, how long is it going to take you to get someplace on bike or on foot? And we'd like to do that around Estacada. We'll get this into your packet so that you can take a look at it, because I'd like to get some feedback on it. I've been having our economic development consultant, John Lagarza, and his company, Healthy Sustainable Communities, put together a plan, and it has some locations marked on the, like a map of Estacada, and we're probably going to have to do this in a couple of phases because it's putting in too many signs at once. I'd probably need to budget it out over a couple of years, but I'd like you to look at the locations that are proposed, and then the design of the signs. We have some there'll be some taller ones that are, I can't even describe it right now since you're not looking at it. I'm sorry. So they'd be taller signs that would have more information on them, like, for instance, a map of the city in general, and then like where you're at, the name of where you're at the top, and then how far. For instance, this little example that you'll see in the packet when you get it next time is like, this is how far it is to the public library. This is how far it is to Wade Creek Park. This is how far it is to City Hall, and then some key locations in the city. And so I'd like you to take a look at it. see if you have some feedback for me. We also have like more of the signs like you'd see on a sign post that are probably like 2x2 or 18 inches by 2 feet. And also have like not as much information, but just directional, like this is what you're going to find going this way and this is how far it is. And so also, well, the idea is to have a coordinated appearance so that you have, it's like we have this branding throughout the city
Mhm.
that kind of ties everything together. We're going to talk to the Economic Development Committee about it as well, and also the Downtown Estacada Commission. We'll take a look at this and get some feedback. We'd like to reach out to the industrial campus folks and see if they would like a larger sign. The sign that's there is starting to deteriorate, so we need to put a new one in. And if they'd like to participate, perhaps rather than just having Welcome to Estacada Industrial Campus, they might want to put the names of their businesses on there, but they would have to participate in the financial cost of that. And also the school district has been wanting to put up a sign that has like state championships, especially since the football team was state champions a couple years ago. And they've had other folks go to state and take and place in the state competitions. And so they could list that. So there'll be an example of like a championship sign that we could partner with the school district on. Putting a sign like that on the highway coming in is challenging because A, people are going fast, and B, you have to work with ODOT. But if we could do like Eagle Creek Road coming into town, kind of where the school district property comes up to that road, we could potentially do something there. So I just want to kind of say thank you, Stephen, for kicking this off. I think it was at least a year ago I think it was you that was looking at this, like where could we put these signs around town? And then we'll just talk about it at your next meeting. And maybe between now and then, you can kind of observe like if you're in other towns and see their wayfinding signage, see what's helpful, what would be more helpful, what would you like to see for Estacada to create something that's cohesive and helpful to residents and visitors alike. And just, I guess, promote the opportunity. We have a very walkable and bikeable town. And hopefully we'll be able to connect in the northernmost part of town eventually also. But this will hopefully get that going. So are there any questions right now or things you'd like to make sure that I bring back to you at your next meeting?
It was actually Vincent who first started it, but we did discuss this a lot, and I'm looking for meeting notes where we had locations sorted out. But yeah, this will be really nice to get out there.
Okay, I looked for minutes also. I couldn't find, I wasn't searching the documents probably appropriately is what the problem was. But yeah, if you have other information that you want to forward over to me, feel free. Cause yeah, right. It was Vincent, and then Stephen, you were working on the trail system, I think, which I
Yeah.
think we also need. So, but this
Yeah.
is to kick off the wayfinding signage. So,
I
I'll
almost
email
forgot-
it out to everybody after this meeting.
Okay.
So that you have it ahead of time. So I will also include it in the April packet.
in the packet, right? Okay.
Yeah, I almost wonder if some of the most prominent activities, whether it be the lake or whatever, having some of those key recreational opportunities that aren't necessarily addresses, but
Right. A
um,
location. Yes.
that way we can bring more of those activities into the forefront of trying to promote those better.
Mhm.
But yeah, no,
Good
I'm eager
idea.
to see that. So,
Yeah, good idea. So yeah, jot down your thoughts, and then we'll talk about it a little more next time, and we'll take your recommendations to the council and get the plan adopted hopefully in the next couple months, and then work on getting those signs constructed and installed.
Cool.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me
Thank you.
join in.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we need a motion for the new name for Arts in the Park. It was already included in the newsletter just because the newsletter went out before the last meeting we had before discussing this. But now is the official time to rename it. I included a list of all of the suggestions that were offered. So if there's one that you guys feel particularly strong about, you can make a motion to vote for it.
But my favorite ones here would be, so I really like Young Makers Fair. Creative Youth in the Park works too. I think both of those are right to the point. Because as far as like just art goes, there is a more, it's a little more encompassing. It points to the fact that it's youth, like something like Color Outside the Lines is a really nice name, but it kind of points to very young kids when a lot of these kids are older. Or there's a bigger age range. So
What are
uh,
the two you suggested, Stephen? Sorry.
Young Makers Fair or Creative Youth in the Park.
Yeah, I like both of those. I agree with, like making it so it's open to a wide range of children.
And yeah, and crafts as well, because that's kind of, it's already what's happening. So it's more just like, how do we describe this properly?
I definitely like the Young Makers Fair. It's a little bit easier to say than the other one.
Yeah.
It feels more um like generic and like you
Yeah,
can
I
say
agree.
what it is and it's also the name of it.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Well, I moved to name it Young Makers Fair.
I agree.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That was
Excited.
easy.
Young
Yeah.
Makers Fair. That's about how long I expected that to take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree though. I think that's nice because it's really generic, so it can open up to a wide range of kids age wise and activity or craft. It's not like everybody has to have a craft or it's not very specific.
Yeah.
And it tells you exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Okay, next item is concerts in the parks. Just trying to set clarification on the planning in so far. I don't know if we're still relying on Rob to book bands or who's still in touch with Rob. So we're just trying to make sure that everything is kind of squared away for this.
Yeah, I guess Vincent kind of left that one open. I mean, I can get in touch. I just got into a place where I have like better availability to take up some of these things. So, if you can send me his info, I can reach out
Okay.
and yeah, and basically take that rollover.
I feel like we just have pretty much the date and the times, right? Like that's all we discussed last meeting, if I
I think
remember
they're
correctly.
still trying to find bands. I think there's only 2 booked bands.
Okay.
That were confirmed last meeting.
Yeah, I remember there being at least one vacancy, which, having a vacancy and taking into account the 120 years, it could be an opportunity where we could take one of those vacancies and try and take that time to do something for the 120 year, whether it be recorded music or whatever, that like you might have an easier time putting something together like that than finding another band.
Right. Or these fiddlers,
Yeah.
or just mentioned, kind of have a old timey version of a concert park for the
Yeah.
120 year.
No,
Yeah,
I
that
think
would be
that would be
fun.
good.
And if
So,
we already have a date set and a time set, then that's one less thing we have to plan.
yeah. So it sounds like we need to tie up our loose ends from Vincent stepping down to coordinate all that stuff. And
I think most of it is being handled by Rob, but someone will definitely need to get in touch with him to verify.
Thank you, Stephen, for volunteering.
Yeah, I mean, and also just to make sure that he's feeling supported and not like completely on his own,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And lastly is the reviewing of the park's yearly goals and budget, which will be due in April. I think at the second city council meeting. So that's the one on the 26th or the 28th or something like that. Or yeah, one of those days. I included what this past year's budget was just for a baseline for you guys. It seems like most of the time it stays pretty consistent and it's just adjusted for changing costs every year. So
Yeah,
how in depth you guys want to go with your budget is up to you.
yeah, one thing I do want to point out is that we were planning a lot of the stuff that happened more recently around the sprint in the spring, around getting it certified and all that. We were hoping that that would happen for in this term. So there's definitely like that delta between what we budgeted and what we spent. Part of that was not doing the sprint in the spring. And then the caveat there is that sprint in the spring is also supposed to be an event that makes that money back, but we would obviously want to budget for it in advance. So that reminds me that I still haven't been charged for the certification. I gotta get in touch with Jeff to make sure it's done. We have a certified course, but he hasn't asked me to pay for it yet. So
Okay,
that's
if you
gonna happen.
need that to be covered, you can forward payment information or how to pay for that to me or Sadie, the city
Okay.
recorder. And we can use the parks budget for that payment as well.
Okay.
Instead of
I
having
could-
to reimburse you.
Okay. Yeah, that works. I'll get in touch with him and figure
Okay.
out what's going on. He's pretty, he's easygoing, but he's also very active, and so it becomes difficult to get a hold of. So
Gotcha.
To be
But yeah,
honest, like I don't know much about the budget or how that works, so I don't feel like I have a good a good input at this point just because I am so new and I've never been a part of the budget part
well,
of
let's see. It mostly surrounds our events. So I mean, let's start there, and then let's look at some of the other initiatives. So we're not doing the sprint in the spring this year, but also this budget starts in July. So like when we do the sprint in the spring certification, that's going to be part of this 11,000. That 500 is going to come out of that, not next year. But for next year, I think it would be safe to say 1,500 for a sprint in the spring. Because I think that it will make that back easily. And I'm pretty sure that's all we're going to need to spend to get shirts, medals, things like that, and then all of like the sort of accessory type things like course marking and all that. So and then
and then the
6
bands
concerts.
too.
yeah, and then the concerts are the bulk of the budget, especially we're
Okay.
paying more this year.
Yeah. I'm seeing
So
6 on this last year's expenses. I can't remember. There was either 6 or 8 this year.
But they're not all filled, right?
No.
So we don't
So-
really know how much
Yeah.
we're gonna have to ballpark for that because I'm assuming each band is a little bit different in cost, right?
There are 5 confirmed dates.
5.
Yep.
Okay.
And yes, I think depending on the band, there might be different costs. Like if you look at last year's budget, like Northwest Playboys got 1,500 from the budget, and Infamous Soul got 800. So I guess it
Okay, so it
depends
just
on the
depends.
booking. Yeah.
let's see, what is the average?
It seems like the most for any band has been 1,500.
CJ Mickens
For
band.
CJ Mickens, yeah.
So is it best to ballpark high then, or
Yes, so
Okay.
you'll want to budget what you think you'll definitely need money for. And it's safer to go higher than it is lower
Lower.
because
Yeah.
the city will fill in the remaining amount if necessary.
Okay.
So you guys don't have to worry about over budgeting or under budgeting or anything like that. It's just
Mhm.
a good idea to have this.
So would it be like a good idea to say like $1,000 per concert for the
Yeah, plus Rob's, plus we're
plus
paying
the
Rob.
pay? Yeah.
Yeah, but
Or $1,000 for the each band that we book essentially.
yeah, I'm trying to see how this breaks down because there's like there's the band
Sound.
and then there's the sound. So
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is a line item budget. I don't have, I
Yeah.
inherited a very
It looks
simple
like the
sheet.
sound is pretty consistent at 200 if I'm looking at it correctly.
or 500.
Oh,
Yeah,
500, sorry.
So
Oh yeah, face painting was 200, never mind.
I mean, I think the way to go, like, because then the trick or trot doesn't really, we pay for the flyer. And that's all we have at this point. We are actually going to have to get more medals. So, but they're really cheap. And we're gonna have to get some more supplies for that, but that's like $100 on top of the flyer. So let's maybe call trick or trot 500 to ballpark high.
And then $1,000 for each band. And you said we had 6 or 5, sorry.
5.
5.
So if
five.
it's 500 for sound, that would be 7,500 for all the concerts combined.
Good fast math.
Yeah.
Is the city budget amount the 11,000? Is that's what we're trying to come up with right now, that amount?
Yes.
Yes.
So concerts.
Yeah, it
And
looks
then-
like other than Trick or Trot, the only thing we paid for, oh, and a couple reimbursements, the only thing we paid for were the concerts and sound.
Yeah. And then, let's see. Reimbursement for face painting. Yeah, and then for winter, I kind of like the idea of doing the movie night thing. And even though it wasn't very well attended, I think part of that was that we didn't get a flyer out for it.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. I feel like that we kind of,
Yeah. I think maybe plan it a little better, plan on putting a flyer out, and we could call that similar thing. Oh, hold on. Similar thing where we could, it doesn't really cost much to put in there because it has a projector and everything. I have a sound system.
we don't have to pay for the venue, right?
We don't have to pay for the venue. So it really would be the flyer and maybe reimbursement for snacks and stuff. I would call that 400 tops. But I think it is good to have about 10% on top of all of this to cover things like when we're like, oh, we should have face painting at this, or we should have, Bubble Man come out or something, or for
Yeah.
like some extra thing that we want to add to an event, or just some little thing where.
Well, and then this
but-
doesn't
but-
have any of the food for the events either.
Yeah,
But that was, I know they just had like minimums that they needed to hit or something like that.
yeah.
Oh, like for the food trucks?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I don't
good
know
call.
that there's anything that we have to spend on that, but they have to kind of hit a certain mark, I think, to make it worth their while. And
Right.
yeah, I don't know that part either. But yeah, I'm not seeing a ton in our future that isn't represented here other than the sprint and spring, which we already talked about.
Yeah,
So I'm seeing it's kind of landing around that 11 to 12,000 again, maybe a little bit more, but
yeah. I feel like 12,000 for the year, which was actually our budget for the year 2 years ago, and we came in way under, but I think we're going to be closer to it, and that's going to give us the room that we need to just do those add those little flourishes to events or, you know, there's some flyer that we need to make or some,
Especially if
Uh,
we're gonna contribute to the if we're gonna do something for the Founders Day too.
right,
The float or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. Or if there are cornhole supplies that need to be reimbursed.
Yeah, and one of the things that I was wanting to do on that is after I build them, I want to make a vinyl cover for them with the 120-year logo on it.
Oh, nice, yeah,
Um, and so whatever that ends up being, again, like I don't have to be necessarily reimbursed for it, but we should at least have it in mind when we're putting together the budget. Because there's going to be other things that will come up like that, and that may just end up being part of that little bit of buffer on top. And so it not a big deal.
yeah. So let's see, just to itemize this a little bit more. So I mean, the thing we're delivering right now, we're coming up with a budget. Do you just need a total or do we need a line item? How we got there?
I believe it's just a total. The line items are just specific for record keeping.
Okay. Yeah, I think 12,000 is what we should shoot for this year or
Yeah.
for this next one to cover everything. And I think that's going to get us through. No problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I will draft up a new version of this
Sorry,
for the
my
next
thing
year.
was frozen. I agree.
I'll draft
Okay.
up a new version of this, and I'll send it to everybody. So you guys have like one final chance to approve it before it goes to council. And if anything changes or needs correction, I will just reach out to everybody. That way we're aware if anything needs to be changed.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And that was it for agenda items. Is there anything else that anybody needs to provide a report on?
We need to go back up to the top for motioning for a chair.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yep, we need a motion for the new chair. Um,
Stephen, I really hope you are.
Yeah, I'm raising my hand for this one. So, you know,
Okay.
if someone wants to make a motion to
All right.
have me do it, I'm down. Do it.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Stephen as the new chair of the Parks and Rec Commission.
I'm in favor. I think that's what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah.
You
All in
second the motion?
favor? Aye.
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 Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add other than I'll work with Bev on getting that letter drafted and up. And then I'll send that to you, Ally, to get the final touches on that. I know she wants a pretty tight turnaround on that for that grant. So yeah, I'll work on that. Do you guys want to see the draft at all, or should I just send it?
I'm good with you just sending it.
Okay.
But if you need to put my name on it, that's fine. I agree with participating somehow.
Well, we'll put the Parks and Rec Commission on there, so we'll
Perfect.
be covered that way.
Yeah, sounds good.
awesome. Anything else, guys?
I think we are good.
Alrighty.
All good.
Oh, yeah, well, I guess as the new chair, I can say meeting adjourned.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Alright.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye.